Good evening, everyone. At least this evening for me. All right. Um, yeah, looking forward to doing a little update here. We got a nice little move. We have a new daily candle starting in 1 second. Always exciting. There's the VWAP coming up and resetting for the day. So, yeah, my update this morning was I didn't really want to do an update here because for me I was in the long I was going to take, which was off of this key horizontal level. This volume profile is kind of in the way, but just going off this wick and a couple other little things. It's a 786 from a major pivot, and so we came down through the level a little bit. You know, that my long was around 39.6, and then we ended up coming back and kind of back testing that level nicely for this impulse. So, you know, this morning we were around here. I was just saying I'm willing to carry this long higher. Still have my shorts from the top and look for some nice resistance levels. So, not uncommon to get some volatility here into the daily open. Personally, I've taken some profits on my longs, and I'm just kind of waiting for, I have my stop loss at entry. So two scenarios I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for price to either push higher. I'd like to see it come up into this zone around the point of control. You know, I might, if I start liking what I see, I might scale into some small shorts here and add. The reason you would scale into a short at a key level is because it's even like on this near retracement, let's say, you know, I added to it here on these retracements, and I added at the golden pocket, and on Sol we came all the way down to the 786. If you have kind of a bullish thesis that this is a retrace, well, you don't know what fib it will come down to, so you might add a bit here, and if you get a lower level, you might add a bit there too. Instead of just waiting for either a retest of the absolute lows or whatever, if you have a thesis that this is a major support, a rally and a retest, then you might want to look into scaling in a little bit so you don't miss the move if it doesn't come down to your lower targets. That's how I like to do it a lot of times. Just drinking some water. But yeah, so for me, I'm looking for, there's two major levels above. I was trying to kind of find something I'd want to trade at the moment. Is this zone might offer a nice scalp short. Maybe we reject to the lows of the range again. And then this zone up here, around 44,400, 44,600. So it's a golden pocket from, not the absolute high, from this pivot. I think it's important to know that your major golden pocket's here, but it's also the value area high of the range. So there's a nice level there from this pivot. This is still important, certainly a region. I wouldn't be stopped out of my short here if price went to here anyways, but probably this zone is also nice. So, you know, for me, it's not about predicting how price is going to get there. If this is a nice level, I might trade it, take some profits, and if we impulse up, I might trade this level too. Those are the two major levels. So here and here for longs. I may be interested in trading a retest of this level, even for a scalp, because what I'm kind of anticipating on the long side is some sort of range here. So that range could look many ways. Could look like this, and then eventually to take the lows into this higher time frame level, and then maybe get a nice impulse up. Ultimately, I do have much lower targets, but you know, I'm not taking every trade as if price is going to 100K or to 25K. I'm, you know, identifying local levels. If it breaks out or breaks down and I'm in a trade, great. A good example of that would be on this 8 trade. So I took this long, and we had a nice move up on it, obviously. I took profits here. This was actually a golden pocket retrace. But I took this short, the swing failure, and we got about 4% move. Now, my bias was actually probably a bigger rejection here, but it doesn't really matter. I have a long from here now. I have this short. I actually had this short too, but that obviously got stopped out. This was a new short. Now, I take profits. I set my stop loss to entry. if we go down further, great, but we didn't. We just impulsed up, but I still have this long. So it's like I don't even need to know where price is going here. I just need to know my resistance and my support. Look for nice setups, trade them reasonably. Longs at support, shorts at resistance. Somebody asked in the chat when price was around here if I'd be interested in trading this swing failure. I just said no, because we're claiming this major horizontal. It's more likely now that we've claimed this level to push up to higher targets. I'm interested in this region on APE. I think it's nice. You know, even look for a swing failure of this high, or come into this level, even double top it. Maybe you don't get a swing failure, but it's another nice region. I'm carrying my longs up to there for now. No reason to close them. Yeah, so I think things are pretty simple and straightforward. There's a couple things I want to just talk about. One is, I know there's a lot of new members. Maybe this is your first members live stream. You know, you can really get caught up into this idea that you need to be taking trades every day. You really don't. So, you know, you could probably look back at your trading history and just see how the last couple weeks went. Imagine if all you had was a short from the highs here. Would you have been happy just to carry that short all the way down to here? That's a great trade. You know, in hindsight, yeah, maybe all you had is this long, or all you had is this long or this short, and you didn't trade any of this move in between. That's totally fine, and it's probably preferable. Just wait for nice setups. Like for me, I have so many alerts set at different levels on the upside and the downside. I know eventually they'll come. Price could do this for a week. I don't really care. And then it could hit my level, maybe up here, and I get a nice short. Or I could come down, sweep these lows, and I get a nice long. And I can just wait for that. I don't need to find a way to trade everything. You know, I have this long. I don't need to try to find a way and guess what's going to happen, if I should be short or add to my long. I'll just wait for a key level and a nice setup and trade it. I think that's typically the best approach. Actually, I'm just getting a text here. I do need to respond to it, but it will only take me 1 minute. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat, or in Discord if you don't have a YouTube account. But yeah, you can see we've gotten some nice play on this point of control. You know, it was support, resistance. We obviously got a little bit of a bounce on it here, and so it's an important level. We have some 382 fibs here from the all-time high just above it, and then a closer one if you pull from this pivot high, which sometimes is relevant. But ultimately, I'm kind of just looking at this range. You can even see it quite nicely on the daily, where we come up here. I'm going to re-pull this to where it was, and maybe we just rotate back to the lows. And this is sort of like an intermediary range. I mean, you can see this resistance, you can see this resistance. Someone's saying, would you be considered more of swing plays, or would these be considered swing or scalps? This is a swing. These have kind of more of a scalpy vibe because I'm expecting lower. So it's not like I'm trying to hold these till 100K. I'm taking profits aggressively. Even on APE, you know, I closed 75% of my trade where I shorted the swing failure, but I left some of it running. So that'd be more like a scalp or an intraday trade. Yeah, so this is like this long, more of a scalp. I'll probably carry some of it in case we break out. But you know, like in terms of like a 5-minute scalping, I don't really like doing like you could get in here and you could have scalped this range, right? Longs. But sometimes I'll kind of inadvertently end up scalping because I'll have a key level. So I'll trade it up, and sometimes what will happen is I'll take profits and I'll put my stop loss at entry, and then I'll get stopped out at entry, I'll trade it again, and you know, sometimes that does happen where I'll trade a level 3 or 4 times, and then the 4th time it breaks out, but I've gotten 4 profitable trades off of it, which is better than just sitting in a position. So that happens. Because typically price doesn't just do this and then go on. You usually go up, you back test levels, you range a little bit, and then make the move. Sorry, I was just reading that text again. You know, yeah, so you were asking do you spot hold any alts or just 100% trading? I do have some like alts that I hold, I suppose, but they're still trades. So like, I'm not necessarily going to just buy something and have no levels that I'm buying it at, no targets, no invalidation, and just I own it, you know, to just own it. So I'll still set it up as a trade, because it is at the end of the day a trade. If you don't have a target, if you don't have a reason to enter, and for me technicals are the best way to define an entry, and a reason to sell, for me technicals are the best way to come up with that reason, and a reason to get out, then I don't think you should be buying it. It can still be like a spot position, and it could be with a bigger invalidation or a longer term thesis, but you need to have those components in place, or it doesn't really make sense to me. Because how am I ever getting out one way or the other, and why, if I don't have those targets? Yeah, so I'm just kind of, I think this is pretty straightforward. Like you can just kind of see these levels in this range, right? You have these levels and then you have these highs. 2 levels to the upside. My level to the downside is sweeping these lows into the golden pocket around 38.2 to 38.7. We have some high volume areas here, the value area low. It's all a region. You know, something like that when we get down there could look like this, right? Where we trade it back up to the highs, take profits in the middles. Yeah, I haven't actually been feeling very well today. I've been feeling a little under the weather. I feel a little better this evening, but yeah, so I haven't been as active. Sorry about that. Someone asking about the liquidity underneath. I more have like fib targets and Elliott wave targets down under the lows, around 25,000. But you know, there's probably going to be some nice trades on the way down. I wouldn't be surprised to even get like a bounce around 30K, even if we take the lows and then, you know, a swing failure at 28K. Maybe we come back and retest this 35, 36K region and then make our low. So yeah, I'm going to be trading the levels on the way down that I think might get nice bounces, especially in case I'm wrong, right? I can identify lots of levels. I might have a high time frame level, but same thing, even though I expect lower, I still took this long because I know it's a nice level to trade. So I don't need to, you know, it's usually best, like, if you have, let's just say you had a level that you really wanted to short up here at 68,000. Well, you have about 10 levels between, or 20 maybe, who knows, between here and there. It's usually best not to spend too much time thinking about those levels that you have really far away, because it could be months from now, right? And there's lots of levels in between. And so if you lose those levels, then you start thinking about the next levels. I may just consider taking some zinc. Just replying, sorry, I got this text. Very unprofessional of me. Um, somebody asking if I use RSI and OBV. Not really, no. I do not. I have a open interest in CBD video in the educational videos channel. And yeah. I would watch that. I use those divergences more often. Yeah, I know I'm gonna get fired texting on the job. Someone saying they can see why I'm so calm, while your philosophy is so easy and freaking also at the same level. Lucky. Yeah, I mean, it's really important to stay calm. Like, for example, if I'd missed this long, let's just say I didn't see the idea. I actually didn't see it as a long I wanted to take until price was almost there. And then I started thinking about this kind of middle point of the range, what price likes to typically do. We have a 786 here. So from this pivot low, it's the 786. It's this horizontal level. And then I started thinking, you know what? It's probably likely, even if we're going to hit this level, that we bounce before it and we put in a nice bounce, get people bullish again, whether it's to here or to here. And if we're going to take these lows, then range a bit and then sweep those lows, maybe on a quick move, and just wreck everybody again. So I decided to take that position. But if I hadn't taken it, I wouldn't care. Who cares, right? You're not in this long. Do you worry about the fact that you weren't in this long or this long? Or go back and think about this long you missed, or this long, or this long. It's like, it's just, there's so many trades, you know, if you miss one, that's really important, not to be chasing positions, because there's lots of other great opportunities if you miss a nice entry, or if price doesn't quite come to your target and then it makes a big move. Well, let's say this was my target, I missed it, what am I going to do? Enter here? No. I'll just wait for something nice. There'll be lots of opportunities. You said you've watched most of my educational videos, but you're still not sure how to pull fibs. Have you watched the one on fibs? That's probably the most important one on that topic, where I do explain how you pull them, right, left to right. So if you go into the educational videos, there's Fibonacci retracements and extensions for beginners. I think that would be the one I definitely want to watch if I were you, if you're interested in fibs. Someone asking if I use stochastic and RSI. I don't. I honestly find I have a high win rate system, and I find thinking about liquidity, watching volume, key horizontals, key fibs. I do like adding, not so much on Bitcoin, but still sometimes, like trend lines and parallel channels. Parallel channels more than trend lines. You know, for me, I have enough confluences and confidence to take trades. I don't really need to muddy the water by trying to interpret all these like 10 more indicators when I come to a position, because I already know what I'm looking for. So I'm not trying to find some other, and I just find those indicators are oftentimes you have these lagging indicators that don't really actually tell you what you think they're telling you. Someone asking, I know you have a swing failure slides, but have you made a swing failure video? I have not. I should make one. I guess to me it seems like such a simple idea, but I guess it's not really, and especially because it's counterintuitive to just how so many people trade. You know, the classic show me a new high, I'll show you a new buy, or the breakout trade, where a swing failure counter trades that move. You said I saw a video that said if you don't know what liquidity is, you're probably liquidity. That's true. Yeah, if you don't understand what liquidity is, you might be it. So for example, this is a swing failure. So on the 4-hour chart, there's a bunch, I've gone over this a few times. There's all these memes. You see there's like hundreds of millions of volume came in a few minutes at the top here on Bybit alone. And there's all the memes on Twitter of Crypto and whatever his name is, the Grayscale guy. They're all saying they're going long here, Bitcoin bullish. Literally the top, within like minutes, they're all tweeting they're longing this. And to me, this is just such an easy short. It's like you're short that every time. This was the high time frame golden pocket, waiting for that level, waiting for that swing failure, short it, back down into the lows. You get the same swing failure here. So swing failure is when you have a high. Let's just say you've been ranging on the 4-hour chart. You put in a high, price, people are shorting, people are waiting for the breakout. Maybe people have built longs and they're going to add to them on the breakout. So price moves up, takes that high, stops out all of the shorts, so grabs all that liquidity. All the breakout longers get trapped, and then price moves back down below that level, and that's the technical entry for a swing failure. And so you're short, and you can just put your stop loss above the high. Sometimes you will get where it will come back and swing failure again. You can just re-enter again if you want. I mean, if that's what you're looking for. But the technical way to trade it is just to put your invalidation above that new high, and that's the swing failure. It didn't obviously get taken for a long time. Same thing can happen on the lows. I'm actually surprised we didn't swing failure any of these lows here. But yeah. So typically what a nice way to, even here for scalps, you had some nice swing failures. So we worked our way up. You know, we put in this high range, we swing failure this high on the 4-hour, then came down, pushed up. You know, but sometimes you don't swing failure. That's why you need to use risk management. We kind of did actually swing failure here a little bit, but sometimes you just break out. So, but they're nice setups, good invalidation, especially when they're at key levels. But like even when we were coming up here, I did take some hedge shorts and some, but I was basically saying I'm not really that interested in shorting heavily because I'm waiting for this higher Gartley target. So there also needs to be context. Whereas these shorts I'm much more interested in because I'm at my key resistance. So would I be interested in just shorting a random local swing failure here? Not so much as I would if I was at a key level. Yeah, that's a great example last night. So let's go back here. So let's just say you had this, you were going to trade this swing failure idea. I'll just move this back up here, or should be, for the swing failure. So you get the initial swing failure. And I think you've got like a 2% rejection off the entry target. No, it was like 1.3%. But so then price comes back and it back tests the kind of highs of this range, and then it swing failures again. So in this case, you know, you might just get stopped out, which that's fine. You're not going to win every trade. You can get stopped out sometimes. Not a big deal. But if you're there, you could re-enter that trade if you wanted to as another swing failure. And then you get some nicer targets down there. Yeah. You know, sometimes, like for me, I don't always like to, depending on how big the swing failure is, I do like to run my swing failure stops a little wider. Just depends. But yeah, this is a case of where you have the initial swing failure, and then you come back and you swing failure it again, and then you get this impulse. But these are just nice trade setups, right? Even if you traded this twice and lost the first one and won the second one, you have probably made money here, or you should have. So yeah, on ape, you know, we have a point of control here. We might range here. Like this level could take a day to hit, who knows? Or it might never hit. You know, then we come down to this key horizontal again. I think that would actually be a nice potential long opportunity if we came there. That's why I have an alert there. So you could come down and retest this low shot and take this high. Because a lot of people aren't looking at any of this, right? They're looking at some other stuff or nothing at all. So they have no context for what price is doing and why. They just see it going up and down. it's nice to have your levels to the downside, your levels to the upside, and just wait. Yeah, so you know what? Two things. I'm not feeling very well, and two, I don't know if there's really too much to go over here. What I want to do is I want to make a video on just everything that you need to have figured out and plan for a trade. So, you know, your entry, your stop loss, your targets, and how to define them, like what types of things you should be looking for. Again, I think it's relatively simple, but it's good to kind of have that checklist. It's like, okay, well, where am I entering and why? What conditions need to be met? Where's my stop loss and why? You know, what's my risk? Your risk should be defined. For me, 1 to 2% of my trading account is where it should be. And then where are your targets? And then you can just set those up right at the trade. When your first take profits hit, you can either have a trailing stop loss or you can move your stop loss to entry. Like on a case like this, you might say you're in a short. Well, you might get your first take profit, you might put it to entry. Then when you break down, you might just keep moving your stop loss down to a new market structure. For me, because I trade long and short at the same time, I'm not so aggressive about moving my stop loss down. I'm just happy to carry longs up to here as kind of a hedge and a separate trade. And we do this, and I can just leave that short running. I can take new shorts if I want. What's your step-by-step charting process? Which indicators do you pull up first? I'm not going to go through it now because I might tune it off. But if you watch any of my like chart request live streams, I think there's one that's like 3 hours long, and I chart like 20 coins from scratch. You just see my process, right? So I go through, I zoom out first, I look at all the key levels, horizontal levels, I pull all the key fibs, I pull volume profiles, I pull any trend lines, or sometimes I'll do even a rough Elliott wave count. So yeah, and then I'd look for nice setups or like liquidity zones and things that I think, you know, just try to get a sense for where I think price might go to and maybe reverse or put in a range or whatever it is. Oftentimes they make the mistake of trying to trade like everything's going to be a massive impulse to 100K or 25K when you're better off just planning for it to be a range because it probably will be, and you can get like 4 or 5 trades out of it, and then, you know, eventually one of those trades will break out and you'll have some of it running, but you'll have traded profitably in there while you were ranging. Yeah, you know, I think since it seems like you guys, for the most part, I've answered most of your questions. I might wrap it up early tonight. You know, I'm sure I would be surprised if by tomorrow morning we don't have some nice ideas to go after. But yeah, and go through. But I'll share some charts, I'll share some updates as price progresses. But you at least have a sense of what I'm thinking here, right? Also, this is that GMT trade that I'm still interested in, where we come down, take the lows of the range. Somebody asked me, you know, that was as price was coming down, if I would trade it or just wait, or do I just wait until my levels hit, or do I just long because it never got hit? For me, it's not like I have a sense of I need to own GMT. I just want to trade this setup. So it's a setup. If I found a different setup, I might look to trade that as well. But so if I don't get the setup, I'm not going to trade it because, you know, it's not like I just need to randomly buy it with no plan. Someone asking, what do you think about the SPX correlation to Bitcoin? Well, yeah, it's just obviously heavily correlated. It's almost like 1-to-1. You know, sometimes Bitcoin front runs it, sometimes it front runs Bitcoin, but it's so heavily correlated. Like, you can pull up the S&P, and I mean, if, for example, if you kind of have a sense of what Bitcoin's likely to do, you almost have a sense of what the stock market's likely to do, or vice versa. So, I'm sure there's some interesting reason for that. But that being said, I can just trade my Bitcoin analysis. I don't really need to track the S&P to take a trade on Bitcoin, but I do keep an eye on it. Thanks for all the kind words. I will beat it. Yeah, I don't feel terrible. I just feel kind of like, oh, I don't feel great. But I'm sure I'll feel better by tomorrow. Somebody just asked me if I can look at AVE. Sure, I'll do it real quick. Don't I even have AVE on this list? I guess you'll see the process really quick. I'm going to chart this very quickly. This isn't a very deep chart. I should have maybe pulled up the USDT pair, but it's fine. These levels are going to be the most relevant anyway. I think this might actually look better. I don't like this volume profile pulled from that far back. I probably just don't like it on the perp pair. It's too evenly distributed. There's a volume profile. I mean, this is the point of control. There's a local parallel channel here. This 382 lines with this horizontal resistance. Then locally, well, maybe looks like the 786. Well, it's closer to the golden pocket there. It's bouncing off of. Yeah, so, AVE for me, I mean, obviously this point of control is really important. You can see we've gotten a lot of play on it. This is a key horizontal. If we hold that, it'd even be nice to come back and back test that actually. Like, I'll just tell you a trade just technically that I'd be interested in just looking at this. On the lower time frame. Just a back test. This like $1.70 region, but I'd probably have my stop under here or under here. This might be safer. Just an alert just in case. Might not take it, but anyway, so the idea of this trade is that we've deviated under these lows for a long time now. We've pushed up and now we're back testing them. This is a key horizontal level. We're claiming it. It'd be nice on a back test to even look for a bit more of a swing position. I mean, there's tons of profit taking opportunities. Maybe even come back up to the highs here. But even with the swing setup, you could trade it more like this with a wider stop and a smaller size. But that level is really important. Point of control. It's also the local golden pocket now. Key horizontal. There's 3 levels there. All right.